Hey guys, really excited to have Jack Krawcyzk here with us this morning. Jack Krawcyzk is a very dear friend. We just agreed upon the meeting of fall in 2007, which is now almost 7 years ago. Jack entered Google in San Francisco right when the office was opened, and came in wearing a Mets hat, was raring from Bank of America in New York City, had this big personality and this bright mind to match it, and we became fast friends. Jack, thanks for joining Liquid Talent too.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So what brings you back into New York? What are you doing in town?
So in my current role, I'm responsible for running advertising product at Pandora. So you can't really do product management when you don't connect with your customers, and the advertising industry continues to flourish and be centered in New York. So I make my make my at least once a quarter pilgrimage here.
Does Pandora have a lot of resources in New York, or is there?
We have. It's our second largest office outside of the headquarters in Oakland. So it's mostly sales and sales operations folks that are dedicated. Advertising makes up about 80% of Pandora's revenue. So we're really focused on connecting with the with the advertising community. I mean, we actually have offices in over 30 local markets as well. So we have sellers in Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Atlanta.
Wow.
So we're fairly nationally distributed. It's basically the way that radio ad sales work.
International?
So, we're in Australia and New Zealand. Okay. Though we brought on a chief strategy officer 3 or 4 months ago. Whose task is identifying what's our international expansion strategy. So that's an area that we're certainly excited about for the future.
Yeah, I bet. So 80% is ads based. What's the other 20%?
The other 20% is subscription. So Pandora One, the 3 million users that say, "I'd like an ad-free experience."
Right. I'm one of those 20%.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is that better for you guys? Are they pretty close? Are they even?
Yeah, I mean, it's there's no preference of which way you consume Pandora. It really is just a matter of what's the right path. Would you rather be ad supported? Would you rather pay? The thing that we learned about the way that consumers consume music is, for the most part, music is a free experience from the consumer perspective. So there's a small minority of music listeners out there that are willing to pay, but the rest just tends to be ad supported, which supports the way that media has been consumed for a very long time.
Well, so I imagine there's a lot of Pandora users out there, possibly even streaming some Pandora on one of their devices right now while consuming this video. It's incredible.
That would be. Well, they would all have to focus on what they're listening to.
Well, the background music, some maybe Beethoven or something.
Well, it's actually interesting. There's this notion of the cocktail party effect, where the way that our brains are theorized to work is that we have the ability to process one conscious stream of audio. And then there's we're basically filtering out the other noise that's around there. But when you're in a crowded space and you're focusing on a conversation, there's a lot of sound around, and our brains are able to focus in on the conversation that we're having. But then if somebody across the room screams, "Hey, Alex," even if you're not paying attention, your brain is sort of passively scanning for any point in time to hear that, which is familiar for you. And so that's something that we spend a lot of time thinking about. Of even if it is in the background and you might be focused on something else, is there something that we can do to draw you back in if that's
interesting?
If that's how you're consuming it.
So Jack is the director of product at Pandora. Pandora is such a great brand. I think what's your user base? How many people are?
We have over 225 million registered users.
Wow. So how do you get to 500 million? What's the strategy to get double that base?
I think the easy answer is to talk about the international expansion opportunities that we're looking to. But so right now we've got about over 75 million. I forget the exact number, but it's over 75 million monthly active users.
Cool.
There's about 300 million people in the United States. About 210 is the addressable internet in the United States, and so we still have a long way to go here, even here in the country. And what I love about music is that it's something that speaks to everyone. It's a natural dopamine releaser, which is it's pretty crazy when you think about it. There are only 4 things that naturally release dopamine in our bodies, which is eating, sleeping, reproduction, and music.
Huh.
So like
Eating,
that old
sleeping, reproduction, and music.
Yeah. So that like the old adage of like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Like,
Right.
It's actually
There's some truth behind that.
there's some truth behind it. Like it actually releases dopamine
I mean,
in our bloodstream.
I feel much better when I listen to music. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very emotional experience.
Yeah.
And sometimes that emotion is just enthusiasm and excitement. Like you see that a lot in the electronic dance music scene right now.
Sure.
Of like it just gets you like pumped up. Like the concept of when people are in college and they're pre-gaming, right? Like you don't pre-game without music, and so. And also, like, you don't have a dinner party without having some jazz in the background, or like we like to play Astrid Gilberto, and it's just like, it's sort of the sound or aura that you create.
We had quite a few pre-games in San Francisco together.
I don't know. I can't comment. I
those?
can't comment about that.
Back in 07, 08.
Yeah.
So this is exciting. Pandora is an amazing product, and you're the director of product. If you can wave a magic wand and do something to your company, what would it be? How do you guys get even incrementally better? Or even astronomically better? What are some things that can get you guys there?
I think one of the things that naturally arises as an organization starts to scale is it gets easier and easier to lose your focus of what you're trying to do. As you hire more people, one of the great things that happens is you get a lot of great ideas that you hadn't considered before. Or you get the same ideas that you considered, and it's just sort of, it can act as validation that that's the right thing to work on. And I think as you scale an organization that way, what you need to constantly think about is, how do I set the boundaries or parameters for the way that we want to drive our product forward or our team forward. And so I mentioned the mission of enabling brands and products to resonate with listeners. That's not something that was just like sit around and throw that out there and talk about it. The reason that we have that mission is to really anchor ourselves to, we're not a platform for just straight up direct response. We could be, but it has to leave an emotional image, memory, or emotion with our listeners. And so we use that as we're scaling the team that I'm working with. We use that as sort of the litmus of, should we be working on what we're working on.
Mr. Jack Krawcyzk, Director of Product at Pandora, a very dear friend of mine, and very grateful for you spending a few minutes with us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much, Jack.
It's great to see you.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.